unmute and ask me questions. So if you have a question, just unmute, because your question, believe me, someone else has your question, okay? And they're just afraid to ask it. So y'all ask me any questions you have.
I don't know. I can't get out in and out of this thing. It's a mess.
Okay, Robin, are you talking?
Yeah, it's a mess. I can't even, yeah, I'm talking, but unfortunately it's just, I don't know why I'm having problems. But
Okay.
anyways, yeah. Oh, you can hear me though?
I can hear you. Do you have a question?
Well, I just wanted to tell you that I did email you because I have, expertise in career counseling and education. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, yes, I read that email and I'm taking all that information that y'all are sending me about your individual qualifications and I'm putting them into a file so that when we form the teams, we can match up those personalities and those skill sets.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, though, Joanna.
Thanks, Robin.
Sorry about all the problems I have with this.
That's okay. That's okay.
I have a question.
Angelica Gonzalez, who is on this kind of wave, Angelica, she has a lot of experience as well in mentoring and tracking and all of that. So she's going to be walking alongside me as well and kind of giving me some guidance on her expertise as that. So we've got a lot of people who have some really great background, psychology, sociology, all of that. Don't feel like you have to have that though, because believe me, if you just want to pour into people, if you just want to love on them, we will take you, and believe me, we will utilize you. Okay. And like Brian said earlier, Dave and Jan Small are on this, and they've poured into people at the Dream Center for 100 years now. So not that you're old enough to have, very giving, very loving as far as pouring in. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Joanna, do you still want it recording?
Oh,
Thank you, Lori. Rhonda, what's your question? Sweetheart, you're going to unmute. There you go. I think I accidentally muted you.
okay. Now I'm going to unmute. Okay. So my question is, how often will we meet with that resident? Do we meet with them as a group, or will we be meeting with them individually? How does that look?
Awesome question. Okay. So as a group, it's preferred as a group. That's why I said if somebody can't make it, like they're traveling or a sick child or whatever, they can FaceTime in, but we really want everybody there live. The meeting will be an hour to an hour and a half. It is with the entire group. We're asking that the first few months, the first 3 months, you meet twice a month, and then you'll decide as a group with your team leader how often you want to meet with them. It'll have to be at least once a month so we have some continuity. Originally in this program, they met once a week. But I know that we're looking at people who have busy lives and careers and kids and all that. So we're going to kind of start with just twice a month. And then we're going to see if y'all want to continue that pattern. Another thing that I'm looking at too is that if the groups are in the same geographical area, we will get the resident to you.
Okay.
You know, ways from the Dream Center. Like, let's say we've got 3 teams at the Scottsdale Dream City Church campus. And I keep using that as an example because that's where I go. Let's say we have 3 teams there and they all want to meet with their resident after 9 o'clock service on a Sunday morning. Well, we'll get the residents there, let them have their meeting, and then they can go with their day and we'll get the resident back to the Dream Center. We are going to try to make this as convenient for your lives as possible because I want your energy and your time to be poured into the resident and not to be anxious or nervous about how the logistics are going to work.
Okay. So when we meet with the resident, it'll generally always be in a group.
Yes.
Not just individually trying to meet with them. Okay, so the group is all aware of what everybody else is doing. We're all, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A team, it's a family meeting.
Okay, that's a good way of putting it. Okay.
Oh. Okay, Jane, did you have a question, hon? You're muted.
How many is in a group?
9.
Oh.
9 people in the group. Let me show you real quick.
And how many residences?
A lot. Our goal is to have enough for 40 residents set up by October.
Okay.
These are all the people on the team. And Pastor Brian has allowed me to share with you guys that once what we're going to do is we're going to have 4 initial teams all formed and ready to go. Mara's already got her team ready to go. And so we're going to do a trial period with 4 teams, okay, for 8 weeks. And then I'm going to meet with them and they're going to give me all of their notes. You know, this is what's going right. This is what's going wrong. This is what you need to fix. And then that way we'll get all the teams formed and ready to go and launch it the 1st of October. Now, if the team is really strong and they are really cohesive, then we're going to give them up to 3 residents. So that way, if your team decides you want to go to the Dream Center and have your meeting there, like on a Saturday morning, you could literally line up all 3 residents and meet with, 1, 2, or 3 residents, and maybe then, take them to coffee or lunch or something like that. The only thing we ask as far as if y'all do pick them up from the Dream Center and take them to a different location, that we always have at least 2 people in the car. If it's a female resident, that we have at least 1 female in the car. And if it's a male resident, we have at least 1 other male in the car. And that's just to protect you.
Joanna, I have a question. A lot of my team has asked me, what's it like sitting down 9 people and 1 resident? Is that intimidating for the resident? I mean, how do we, even to start facilitating the conversation and just so it's easy going? I don't know.
It's true. And Mara, I can't guarantee that the first meeting's going to go smooth as silk.
Right.
That's why I will be there. And if for some reason I can't, I will have someone from my team be there with you the first couple of meetings. But our hope is that you're going to surround them in prayer and love, and they are going to immediately know they're in a safe place.
Hey, can I chime in on that, Joanna? Is that okay?
Do.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a great question, and I think my internet's working better without video, Joanna. So
Okay.
I think to answer that, I've been through dozens of these tables in the past, and honestly, the best format is when we come together with a group like that, overarching agenda, but really it's just kind of a meeting of people. It's just a family, and most of the conversation, the first 15-20 minutes is just, hey, this is who I am, this is what's going on in my life. But at some point, the team leader is guiding the whole conversation toward the needs of that graduate, and think in terms much less of like it's a bunch of case managers coming together to help this person solve problems, and think more in terms of what you would do with your own child that is like trying to figure out if she should rent a car or lease a car or buy a car or take the bus. And the transportation mentor is just going to walk with her through making that decision. And so it's not that you as a mentor have to make all these decisions for them. It's literally that you as the mentor just walk with them to help make the decisions. The byproduct, I always say, the byproduct of the mentor teams is the mentoring. The prime product, what we're really trying to do is create relationships that will last forever. You guys will be the people that are invited over to their house for Sunday dinner, or that they invite to your house. You guys will be the people that she invites to their wedding. You guys will be the people that she invites to her high school graduation. I had a girl in my office last week, and she was like, hey, she was kind of sheepishly dancing around the question, but she said, hey, I don't think anybody can come to my graduation. Like, are you going to be there? Can you make sure that Miss Sky can be there? And I was like, yeah, of course, kiddo, of course we'll be there. So your primary role is really the role of an extended family for that survivor.
Can I say something?
Yes, Cindy.
So obviously I'm new to this whole thing, but I have been mentored several times, and obviously I don't know exactly what you guys do, but I'm kind of echoing what Mara said, in that I really am struggling with a team of 8, because in all of my mentoring, it's been one-on-one, and there's more of an intimate relationship with that person. And I I just think having 8 people in a room and one person, you would feel, I think it would be hard to create those bonds that you guys are talking about with 8 against, not 8 against 1, but you're going to feel like it's 8 against 1 when you walk in that room for the first and second time. And then you put 8 women in a room talking and one teenager, or I don't know. I'm struggling with this. I would be much more comfortable if it were 2 or 3 and you had 3 jobs each, you had 3 areas that you were working with, because I don't see 8 working well.
Well, it's funny, it's actually 9.
9, I don't see 9 working well.
So that's where we're going to have these 4 teams put together, and then we will kind of see what the dynamics are and what we need to fix. But they've done this in the past and it was extremely successful.
Okay, well, I would not want to be mentored by 9 people. I can tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
we
my
have,
opinion.
that's great, and we had some of the same concerns starting out with this. So if you guys have a little scratch pad, if you could look up the company theopentable.org. Now it's called theopentable.org. So it's not to be confused with the eating rating place. So the opentable.org is a company started by a friend of mine about 20 years ago. His name is John Katoff. And this model of surrounding people coming out of homeless shelters, out of juvenile shelters, out of child shelters is actually one of the most well-studied and most successful that we have. Now, part of that is because of it creates that sense of family. And I should probably say that I understand what Joanna is laying out here. There's nothing preventing groups from peeling off and meeting 2 or 3 at a time. I think it's just the minimum hope is that at least once a month, everybody would kind of come together so everybody's on the same page. But bear in mind also that the survivors coming out of our programs, they are very much used to working in groups. Their classes are with other women. They have their counseling oftentimes is in groups. They're surrounded by a multitude of staff that are here. So it's the director, the program manager, the counselor. They're used to very much having what we call a CFT, a child and family team around them. And so it's a service model that our survivors are used to. It's one that actually does work very good. However, to your point about that intimate relating, Joanna, it's going to be up to you, but we have done that in the past, and you would be free to have more intimate, and I would encourage that, more intimate meetings with folks. But in general, for the sake of, like I said, we want the survivors to have that feeling of I am surrounded by a family. That usually happens around a family meal. We want them to have that sense of everything's going to be okay, and that, okay, that person's taken on that. The other reason we have nine mentors is that each mentor is focusing on one specific area, rather than having one mentor try to really focus on 9 or 10 areas, which was overwhelming for the mentors. And so it helps that the family mentor then is really focusing just on family, housing mentor focusing just on housing. And so it kind of spreads the workload and doesn't burn the mentors out quite as fast, because if you're the education mentor, you're really relating to that person's education needs. And you don't have to worry about trying to find them housing. You don't have to worry about trying to find them. Somebody else is focused on that. So that's kind of the general philosophy. But again, I would encourage the more intimate meetings. I think that's great. As Joanna mentioned or alluded to, you do just want to worry about personal burnout and then also the accountability that comes with meeting with a group.
Yes, I'm there. You can hear me or not?
Robin?
Yes.
I'm here. I'm not upside down. I have a question also. I did actually, attend a open door, class or whatever. So anyways, and that though these are, young adults, okay, are really, really wanting, a family. So all of us at the table, they were comfortable with that. They weren't intimidated. They were so excited to be a part of something positive. Also, okay, are we, allowed to meet, with the individual alone at times? Like, let's just say I would like to go, help a individual apply for, a job online. Am I allowed to meet with them or not? One-on-one.
Okay, that is going to be a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Thing I want y'all to grasp onto. We are not going to do for them.
Oh, I know. Okay.
We are going to guide them. We are going to guide them. So where if I had sat down with my parents and said, I think I want to study education, but I'm really not sure where I want to go. They might have said, well, do you want to stay local? Do you want to go out of state? Let's, have you looked at tuition? Have you looked at good education plans? And then I go and do the research. I go to the Google and I do the research, and then I come back to the next meeting and say, okay, so Robin, you're in charge of my education. So this is what I discovered. I want to study, special education. These are the best schools in this area. I think the best chance at getting a scholarship at GCU. I need to finish my high school diploma, or I need to get my grades, up from my high school diploma because I didn't do that great in high school, and then you would guide me. The last thing I want you guys to do is to show up and have done it for them. And that's so hard for me because I'm a doer.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to release things to them. And then if they don't follow up with it, we're not going to fuss at them. We're just going to say, well, gosh, I really thought you'd have that information by today. Let's set a goal for you to have that information by our next meeting and to make it a positive reinforcement thing.
Yeah, I hear that. I was just,
yeah, it's hard. It's hard for us D personalities just go out and do it for them. But
but you might have, some, individuals who have some, a learning problems. So you might need that expertise.
So you guys might want to be aware, we do have a learning center. They do have access to computers. They get computer time. And if the mentor team sends me a report in their recap and they say, hey, Joanna, Susie really needs to get on the computer and research jobs in schools and things like that. And she says she's not getting computer time. Then that's where Brian and I will take the bull by the horns, and we'll make sure that that is a true statement and that they do have access to a computer. So, and that they can do that research as well. Okay. Good.
I have a question.
Hey, Desiree, what is it?
So I want to make sure that it would be an okay balance, being that in the mentor aspect and capacity, you meet as a group, and then sometimes, 2+ people doing things. So myself and my group, we volunteer with the girls in that full group setting already occasionally. And so I'm wondering if that would be a conflict for me, being in a mentor role, and then also being in a group activities that we do whenever we go to volunteer at the Dream Center or anything like that.
And I can see your concern about that, but no, that should not be a conflict, because it's going to kind of be whatever happens in the mentor team stays in the mentor team.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Be giving y'all some trauma education. There's going to be a process of where you need to fill out an application to be part of the mentor team. And then the background checks will be done and all that. So yeah, that'll be we'll do some training with you guys on, how to work with our traumatized residents, and, what to say, what not to say, and things like that. But some of it, Desiree, is going to be a learning curve. And that's why, I want to get these 4 teams formed and ready to go so that I can get some feedback fast and we can do some tweaking, because this is going to be amazing. That
And when are you expecting to get the ball rolling? I may have missed that part.
So my goal is to have 4 teams launched by mid-June with 1 resident each. Go 8 weeks, so they'll have 4 meetings, 2 in the first month, 2 in the second month, have 8 meetings, and then we'll meet back together and we'll tweak it out. And then my really fast launch date, like everybody in place, because I'm not planning on sleeping between now and then, is October 1st. So that way, we've all the teams have done some Zooms and gotten to know each other and kind of strategized a little bit and done some bonding if they don't already know each other. But like Mara's team, they already all know each other. If y'all are pulling people together from your church or your book club or your neighborhood or whatever, it's going to be people you already know. So you might be ready to launch a lot faster. I'm not going to make y'all wait till October 1st. My goal is by October 1st to have every resident covered. Any other questions?
So Joanna, it's Lori Brickner. I do have a question. So I may have missed this as well. So do we have specific training from you and or Brian or the Dream Center? And if so, what does that entail?
So we have a video on just being trauma informed.
Okay.
Everybody will watch that. And then we will have an orientation just like I do for our new volunteers. It's about 45 minutes long. And we'll go through everything from dress code, what you can say, what you can't say, terminology. That's pretty much about the scariest thing that sometimes, you just have to be careful. Like we had a volunteer that said, I just feel so sorry for these prostitutes. And in complete love and support. And so we actually had to add that to our orientation. We do not use that word. They are victims of human trafficking. And to just really speak to them in love. And we'll do some role playing and some scenarios. So you're not like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid to say anything. These girls, they're just like the girl down the street. I mean, they're so just hungry for love and support and knowledge. I get goosebumps. I mean, they just want to be accepted and loved. And that's why, going back to Cindy's question, it seems like it'd be so intimidating. And at first they might be a little quiet, but you'd be just amazed when you just cover them in prayer and cover the team in prayer. It just works. It really does. There's got to be some faith here, girls and guys. So, and we do want the teams co-ed. So don't feel like it needs to be an all-female team or for the guys all male. We want the teams co-ed because we want our females to learn how to work with men in a situation that is a positive situation where they're being supported and they're learning. And we want our young men to have men on the team where they can learn from other men as well as from women. Dave, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So are we responsible for finding a team? Are you going to put us on a?
Okay, so like y'all are, that's a great question.
Doing this.
My internet's
So
breaking. Or his.
we'd like to be on the first teams out of Scottsdale. Will you put the team together or do we do it?
So I've already been thinking about your team. Angela is at Dream City Church there. Who else is? Rhonda, Dolores. We've got several there that are already stepping up. Brent and Tammy Wise. I'm kind of having a brain fart right now. So
Michelle Seabrook.
Michelle Seabrook to lead the team. So I'm really hoping that if we have a church like Cindy Metz goes to a really great church, if maybe at her church, she has some people there that she can say, let's all put together a mentor team. And then they might even say, somebody else is interested and somebody else is interested. I don't want this to be a Dream City Church ministry. I mean, we can definitely use Dream City Church, but we want to expand this and make it feel like, well, if you don't go to our church, you can't participate in this, because there's a lot of talent out there and people who are dying to step up and really serve. So we will help you put together a team. I'm ready to put together your team like now.
Okay.
Get ready.
Okay.
We're ready.
So Joanna,
Yeah.
so when we commit to this, it's basically for an indefinite period of time.
It's gonna be,
I mean, because you just don't know how long that resident is going to need our help. I mean, or you just, like you said, you bond with them and you become like family with them. So you're kind of ghosts for years, you know?
I'll tell you this, if you pick somebody up at second pillar, the
Yeah.
most you're gonna have them is probably 18 months to 2 years, because our goal, hang on just a second, Angelica, I'll answer that. It's an excellent question. Our goal is for you to meet with them up till a year after graduation, because this is what happens. It's kind of like what Brian was saying earlier. They graduate and some of them leave, and then they just feel like they've been thrown to the wolves.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where that mentor team might still say, hey, for the next year, let's keep meeting once a month and just making sure that, you know, Michelle's doing okay, and, you know, she's good to go, and she's getting her kids back, and now she's going to find an apartment, and or if some graduates stay at the Dream Center and continue school. And so you'll continue to surround them as long as that team wants to do that. But after graduation is our goal. And Helica just asked a really good question. She said meetings are once a month. So in the first 3 months, Angelica, at least twice a month. And then after that, the team can decide, do they want to keep going twice a month or once a month? I would love to see it be twice a month, but that's going to be up to your team's schedule. And then somebody else just had a question. How old are they? Okay. Okay. Angelica, what's your question? You have to unmute.
Let me unmute myself. Okay. So, I totally get it. Like when we have our meeting, we're going to have a list of objectives. Just to make it easy, one objective per team member or role.
Yeah.
So if there needs to be any type of communication or information needed, like let's just say, for example, I'm doing education, and you know, the resident says, hey, this is what I want to do. Are we going to be able to have any type of communication with that resident within the you know, bi-weekly when we're meeting via, it could be their phone or anything like that?
That's a good question. And that is going to be up to the team and how much time y'all want to spend in follow-up. But really, to give them 2 weeks to do that assignment themselves, that's going to be kind of putting the ball in their court. And Helica, you've raised 3 girls on your own, and you know, if you do it for them, it's not so appreciated. But if they go out and do it themselves, you know, people support what they help create.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay. Yeah, no, I totally get the vision now.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had to like, yeah.
Average age, Cindy, it can be anywhere. We can take anyone from the age of 18 on up. But to give you an average age, I would just say 20s, early 30s. We just had a 30-year-old resident finish her high school diploma and be very excited about it because she's been trafficked for so many years. I like to say that some days they show up and they're 14 and some days they show up and they're 40. You'll have some of these girls and the guys, they have old souls and they have a lot of wisdom, but then they may not have a lot of common sense, or they may have a lot of common sense, but they don't have the know-how. So that's where you're going to get to know them and just really be able to pour into them as an individual. And right now they're not getting a lot of that. Everybody is spread thin at the Dream Center and they're not getting that one-on-one. So it's going to be very, very powerful. I think I had another question. Yes, Dave.
Well, just somebody said this may go on for more than a year or two. We're still mentoring the same person 9 years later. And we are grandmother and grandfather to 2 little boys that are 7 and 8, and mother and dad to her and her husband. So that's how it blossomed into.
That's the blessing.
Now, that's not to say that
they don't all work that way.
You know. Yeah, and we have been blessed beyond all words.
Yeah.
On how we have been blessed by this. So just as an example.
Brian?
Yeah.
You want to say something?
No, that I just was going to say that I was hoping you would say that, Dave, that you guys have been such a blessing to Michelle. And I talked to her a couple months ago, and I can't tell you guys how meaningful it is for her to feel like she has a family. She literally has no one in this world other than the staff at the Dream Center. And even on our best day, we're still the staff at the Dream Center. We try to be, family to these girls. We really do. But what we find is that we can't be a part of their forever story, but you can. And I know that might sound a little intimidating, but think of it more as this is just a person that'll be in your life, hopefully for the rest of your life. I think that would be our hope. And it is a blessing to you. It will be a blessing to you. And I guess that's where this mentor team sort of model, if you will, really kind of departs from the traditional model that is really out there, which is more time oriented and it's only a year. We truly believe that, and I think at our church, I'm talking to friends here, so we truly believe that the family unit is the strength of our community, and that the for the success of our trafficking survivors, it's not only the strength, it's the lifeline for them. And so by recreating what none of them have, you realize that very few of them, less than 1% of them, have a healthy family unit out there to go to. Less than 1%. And when you come to our juveniles, it's even smaller. Over at Streetlight, most of those kids are coming, they're wards of the state. So you really are the only family that they'll have until they get married, and we hope for that for them. We pray for that for them one day, and have kids of their own. But that's really the hope. It's a mentor team, but really it's a family.
If that doesn't warm your little cockles, I don't know what will, because that's just, yeah. So don't worry, Rhonda, you're not going to have them move in with you for the rest of their lives, but you're going to want them to, because I can tell you the young lady that I mentored starting right away, I was her advocate when I started volunteering at the Dream Center. I've literally watched her twins from the time they were laying like 3 weeks old until now they're 4.5 years old. And what an amazing journey that has been. It really has, just to be able to pour into her. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any other questions or concern? Yeah, Robin?
Yeah, I don't know whether am I on or not?
Yes.
Okay, I had a question also. Okay, are we going to get any kind of training, I guess you could say, about trafficking?
Yes. So that's all on our website. So excellent question. So once you say, you know what, Joanna, I think I want to do this mentor thing, then we're going to have a link that you're going to click on. You're going to be able to go to the Phoenix Dream Center website. You're going to be able to watch all the videos there. You'll actually have a checklist where you'll watch the videos there. It's not a lot of time or anything. It's not a lot of homework. You'll have a couple of months to work on it, fill out the application process, and all of that will come directly to me. And then as you have questions and things like that, I'll be your coordinator that you'll go through. But you know what, guys, I realize we have been on for almost an hour now, and I really don't want to keep anybody who has other obligations. I promise y'all this would be short, but y'all have asked excellent questions and you've made me think. And I just appreciate Brian being on too, because his schedule is just so crazy. But if y'all have any other questions, feel free to text me or email me. I'm super easy to reach, maybe not always by phone, but definitely by texting or emailing. But our next step will be, I will send every one of you a link that you will click on, and it will be specifically for the mentor teams. And then we will take it from that point on. And if you're not interested, if you say, you know what, I don't think this is what God wants for me in my life right now, I will not take it personally, okay? The Dream Center police may show up at your door, but I will not take it personally. But be thinking about other people who would be great doing this and who you want to build around your team. Even if you're not a team leader, who else can you think of would be really great mentoring one of these just awesome, I call them kids because I'm old, but one of these kids, okay? No other questions? Yeah, Jane, did you want to ask a quick question? Yeah.
Is there anybody that's gonna be in the East Valley? Like me?
You know what? Oh, Lynn's got her hand up. So what we'll do is, I thought I said this, maybe I didn't. I'm gonna try to link y'all up geographically. Oh.
Okay,
Okay, and say, you know, because let me tell you, I'm geographically challenged. Cindy Metz here is the one who sold me my house, and I still can't tell you my full address. She can probably tell you, and I've been here 6 years. So I'm gonna literally put pins on a map and see who I can match up more geographically. But if you are way far away from each other on the team, then we'll probably encourage you guys to meet actually at the Dream Center the first few times, and then y'all
Sure.
kind of work that out.
okay,
Because
thanks.
if y'all, you know, after you meet with your resident a few times, if you say, you know what, can we take them to lunch, or can we take them to coffee, or, you know, there's a Starbucks around the corner from the Dream Center, can we go there? Absolutely. You're their family. So you're
Okay.
able to have some real leeway in those areas. Once we get through that breaking the ice phase, Cindy, okay?
Okay,
Work, I promise you, it will work. The system works. God is good. All right, any other questions? No? Okay, you guys have an absolutely